Well, a big rebound on Wall Street today as the Dow and Nasdaq shot up more than 600 points. The S&P 500 also closed in positive territory. Tech stocks are in the spotlight again, with Amazon and Apple reporting earnings today. Let's take a look at our interactive stock market heat map brought to you by FinViz. Wow, what a difference a day makes. A lot of green on the board right now. This shows the top 500 stocks. Semiconductor stocks were back in the green, while stocks for consumer retailers like Costco and Walmart sank a bit today. All right, let's bring in Yahoo Finance senior reporter Brooke DiPalma. Brooke, the latest economic data shows inflation is slowing, but it remains stubbornly high as the economy is growing at a sluggish rate. So what does it mean for Americans concerned about this high cost of living? Is there any end in sight?
Well, unfortunately, no end in sight just yet, because there's this rising fear of stagflation, ultimately high inflation and slowing growth. And that's kind of the picture that we got today. Although we saw a bit of a pullback from the rising inflation, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge in the month of May, during June, we still saw this PCE index rise about 3.7%. And when you strip out more volatile indexes or parts or segments of the report, like food and energy, it still did rise by 3.3%. Now, at the same exact time, we saw overall growth, U.S. economic growth, rise about 1.5% in the second quarter, and that was a slowdown from what we did see last quarter when growth was up about 2.1%. And so ultimately, this kind of puts the Fed in a difficult position, sort of an awkward spot here, where if this continues to happen, if the inflation continues to be above their 2% target rate, which it has been for many months, it puts them in an awkward spot, ultimately leaving interest rates higher, meaning that for everyday Americans, it's going to continue to be more expensive to borrow, Liz.
Speaking of borrowing, mortgage rates jumped to their highest level in a year. A 30-year fixed rate averaged 6.66% this week. So what's behind mortgage rates, and what does it mean for the housing market?
Yeah, definitely a hard pill to swallow, especially if you've been trying to break into this housing market. Just before this war began back in the end of February, we did see a bit of reprieve. We saw rates fall below 6% for the first time since September of 2022. Now we're seeing the highest levels when it comes to mortgage rates, the 30-year fix, that we've seen since the end of July 2025. What exactly is driving this is ultimately the fact that bond investors sold off long-term treasuries because of this fear that the Fed doesn't necessarily have control over inflation. So there's this worry that because the Fed did not raise interest rates, that they don't have control over this rising inflation due to the ongoing war within Iran. And ultimately, this is bad news right now for those who are looking to get this housing market, because the average U.S. home is still hovering at $410,000. But at the same exact time, a quick tip here: try to save longer for a larger down payment in order to perhaps offset these higher interest rates that we're seeing.
That could be so hard to wait, though, when you really want that home. Switching gears, some big earnings reports coming in today, including Apple and Amazon. So what should we be looking for there?
Yeah, well, Amazon just crossing the wire, and it is moving higher as we make our way post-market this afternoon. It beat on both the top and bottom line. And what investors really liked within that report is the fact that Amazon Web Services, those net sales came in far higher than expected. They actually increased about 37%. That's the fastest growth that Amazon has posted when it came to AWS net sales in 18 quarters. And we're just about to hear from Apple as well. And what we're really expecting to hear there is more on what exactly is higher memory chips cost, what exactly it means for Apple's margins, also perhaps any sort of indication on that foldable iPhone. And keep in mind, this is Apple's CEO Tim Cook's last earnings call. He'll be handing over the reign to John Ternus this fall, and so investors will be listening closely to listen in on any lasting remarks that Cook may have.
Yeah, it's certainly the end of an era. Brooke DiPalma, thank you so much.